Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Northamptonshire series, one of the two districts that make up the county of Northamptonshire. With 166 parishes, there's a lot to get through. Let's cross another one off. Welcome back to West Northamptonshire, everybody, for the fourth time in recent weeks, and we are stood on a bridge over a motorway. We've seen this one countless times before because that's the M1. Later today I'll be on the M1 heading back to the north to sunny Rotherham to edit all these videos which you've seen in the past couple of weeks. At this present moment in time, however, I'm heading over this bridge into today's village. It's a very small one and it goes by the name of Lilbourne. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Today we come to Lilbourne, a village close to the M1 motorway and the A5, the latter of which marks Northamptonshire's boundary with Warwickshire. Slightly to the north is the River Avon, which marks the boundary with Leicestershire, and all three counties meet at Dow Bridge over the river along the A5. The village's name is believed to mean Lilla's stream, and the first element might be a stream name in and of itself. For such a small place, there are lots of things of historical importance. The most obvious of these would be not just one, but two sets of earthworks. We'll see one of them later. Some of Lilbourne's historic features aren't actually in Lilbourne. For example, RAF Lilbourne, used by No. 73 Squadron in World War I, lies over the border in Warwickshire. The former officers' quarters are in the parish though, an area which has been progressively developed into a large truck stop with lorry parking, refuelling and catering facilities. One of Lilbourne's claims to fame would be the Greenhaven Woodland Burial Ground, the first privately owned natural burial ground in the United Kingdom. There's a few railway references too, but the enthusiasts amongst you will need to wait for that. Let's get going. Our trip around Lilbourne starts at the Andy Hemmings Memorial Park. Andy Hemmings was a Lilbourne parish councillor who died in 2018. This park is named in his honour. As with most villages in this part of Northamptonshire, Lilbourne has its own village hall, which here is used for fetes, jumble sales and general meetings, as well as for private hire. And next to them both there's a pretty sizable playing field. Not bad, given this is perhaps one of the smaller ones we've covered on this trip. There's not just one, but two parish notice boards here too. Nikki opted to sit this one out in the car, so for this one, the task lies with me for leaving a card for the locals. Now I'm going to make this point right now before we get too far into this video. We've started off Station Road at the Village Hall, playing field, etc. And that is Station Road right there. Now Lilbourne used to have a railway station, however, it was not it's not in Lilbourne, it's actually over the border and into Leicestershire. It's not even in Northamptonshire. And even though it would make more sense to go there today and show you the site of that station, I'm actually going to save it for when I do the parish it falls into over into Leicestershire, because it will add to that one, because that one's quite small. Here we have Hillmorton Lane. As you can see, this is not suitable for HGVs, and this is here because of Lilbourne's proximity to the A5. HGVs should use Rugby Road instead. And Hillmorton Lane leads to Lilbourne Meadows, which is a local nature reserve just north of the Daventry International Rail Freight Terminal. The other way, we have the Green. Perhaps one of the most unexpected things about Lilbourne was how they've decided to use their old red phone box. Initially, I thought this one had a working phone, but how wrong I was. Now at first when I looked into this telephone box, I thought, great, it's got a working telephone, that's rare enough. And I thought again, because the door is locked. But look at that phone. The younger generation out there probably would have never seen a phone like that before. This is one of those phones where you had to dial it with your finger. We used to have one of these a long time ago. Also on the Green we have the War Memorial. There's 20 names on this one, 4 who died on the front line and 16 who died in training at Lilbourne Airfield between 1916 and 1918. In front of you here is the old post office at numbers 4 and 5 the Green. Lilbourne currently has no post office and the nearest one is in Clifton upon Dunsmore. Now, to go up the Horsepool next. This was a bit of luck. In that driveway is the Lilbourne Community Bus, which carries children to and from Yelvertoft Primary School on a daily basis, and it also carries villagers into Rugby 2 or 3 times a week. Next we take to a footpath which crosses a field. Lilbourne's church is located a long way north of the main village, and the quickest way is going via this path right here. This will bring us to the junction of Church Lane and Station Road. Lilbourne Station can be reached by following this road north into Catthorpe. The site of the station is just over the River Avon. So check this building out here. This is the old rectory. Doesn't that look stunning? And of course with a rectory there comes a church, and it's right there, and you know what? That board says it's open. Let's go in and have a look. Approaching from the village, this church is easily missed as its south side is largely hidden by trees, adding a sense of mystery to its churchyard. All Saints seemed to escape the Victorian era without incident, and it wears an attractively unrestored appearance to this day. It's one of the oldest churches in the area. The pews and pulpit within remain largely untouched since Georgian times, along with several windows with debased Georgian glazing. A notable feature would be that there's no stained glass in the church except for a small fragment with a 15th century sunburst in the head of the east window's central light. That means much of the interior is visible through the plain glazed windows, and it's just a theory this time, but the fact that Lilbourne is so far away suggests to me the Black Death played a key role here. That was a nice church, both inside and out. Caps back on. I did take it off to go in because you have to be respectful when you go into a church, of course. Now, opposite the church here, there is something of great interest. Take a look at this. Now we can't get to this because beyond this fence it's private land. That is a medieval castle mound, and Lilbourne doesn't just have one of these, it actually has 2. One here opposite the church and another one out towards the A5, both of which, like I said, you can't get to them, but we can at least have a look at them. The mound you're looking at here is the larger of the 2. This is the site of Lilbourne Castle, which was a Norman Motte and Bailey effort. The other one, Hillground, is to the west of the village. This is a 20-foot high motte with a large bailey surrounded by a ditch. It's that tall I don't even need an aerial shot to show you how big it is. It's thought to date from 1140, but it was never fortified with stone. Next, we pass Old Inn Court, and given there are lots of newer houses here, there's a strong suggestion that a pub once stood here. There was nothing out there to help me though. So we're back on the horse pool again, and I've done this purposely so that we don't miss Chapel Lane, which is the last street on the main walk around, which will take us towards the village pub, which is where we will end this episode. So there we are back at the green. We take a left here, that'll be Chapel Lane. Let's see what's up there, shall we? Our final street in Lilbourne is Chapel Lane, which emerges at the village pub close to where we began at the village hall and the play area. The chapel is hidden away behind some of these houses. There's been a chapel in Lilbourne for many years. It began as a Methodist chapel, and in 1986 Lilbourne Evangelical Church was established. It's been that way now for 36 years. And lastly, we have the Head of Steam, one of those rare pubs which used to be a house, having been converted in 2013. The name is a direct reference to the railway and to Lilbourne Station. Alright, before we wrap this one up, it's time for today's Picture Bit, coming your way right now. Okay, I am back in the car. It is quite warm out there now, and for that reason, that's why Nikki sat this one out.
Yeah, I'm not coping very well, but do you know what? It's been quite nice because I've sat here people watching.
And what have you seen?
Well, I've seen a few delivery peoples. I've seen the local Hermes or Every courier, poor lass. I've seen some care home workers. I've seen a couple with what is obviously their grandchild in a pram, walking up and down with their dog. It's quite entertaining to sit and people watch.
Yeah.
Although I'm betting that you had a much more entertaining time looking at the amenities in and around this village.
Yeah, I think we did, didn't we? I think so. This is a nice little place, this, and we're not quite finished with this actually, because I've got one more thing left to do, and this is very easy. All I have to do is drive along the A5, because you'll have noticed that this trip has featured 3 counties: Northamptonshire, Leicestershire and Warwickshire, and if you drive up the A5 from Lilbourne, you will go over the point where all 3 of them meet. It's called a tri-point. You can't walk on it for obvious reasons because it's the A5. I wouldn't recommend it, but we can certainly drive on it, and that is how we're going to end this trip. And what a trip it's been.
Yeah, I'm ready for home now.
Yeah.
Some ice cream, home, and a good sleep. Not necessarily in that order, because I might fall asleep in the car before we even get ice cream.
Possibly. We'll see. Anyway, this has been the Parish of Lilbourne, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.